Hi, Olympia. Today we're talking about the April 22nd, 2025 Olympia City Council meeting, and it was a long and emotional meeting. Oh boy, it's been a long time since we had a long one.
Definitely. Well, this is Council in 10.
For the record, I'm Kelly Purse-Brassett.
And I'm Susan Grisham. Everyone was present. Councilmember Vanderpool was virtual.
With his baby.
With his baby. So cute on the big screen, giant baby. So we started the meeting with a couple of announcements. Community Planning and Economic Development Director Susan McLaughlin introduced the city's new Economic Development Director, Jenica Machado, who most recently worked doing similar work at the county. So we're really excited to have her.
Stole her. Ha.
Yeah.
Sorry, county.
And then Mayor Payne expressed his condolences for the recent passing of Senator Bill Ramos.
Yes.
And shared his thoughts on the loss of Pope Francis.
Yeah, that's a huge one for the Catholic community across the globe and in Olympia. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved on to approval of agenda. So the agenda was amended to add an executive session pursuant to litigation after the close of the business meeting. And then the agenda was approved as amended.
Yep.
We had no special recognition, and then we moved on to public comments. So there were a number of public comments in person and via Zoom. They were primarily related to the other business item. We had a full room because of it. Item 6A, which was consideration of a resolution regarding negotiations to potentially contract with Thurston County for court services. So there was a lot of emotion, a lot of concern.
Yeah. A lot people really like the municipal court, so they're concerned about what that change, what that transition is like, and what that change will be. And I have to say, one comment that stands out, not the whole comment, but one of our commenters mentioned the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which, as a Star Trek fan, caught my attention. Go quantum physics.
I will say the item did draw judges and court staff from many different cities in Western Washington.
All up and down the I-5 corridor. We had court folks in person and remote. A lot of them commenting on our nice chambers, by the way.
There were no public hearings, and the consent calendar was passed.
Yes, no polls or comments.
Nope.
Yeah. And we went straight into other business, which was the main event. And it had to do with the topic around the transitioning of the municipal court following the recent sale of 900 Plum Street to the Squaxin Island tribe. And Debbie Sullivan, the assistant city manager, gave a really thorough and detailed overview of the analysis and the work that had been done to transition the municipal court services to whatever happens next with it. She talked about the three options that the staff and her particularly explored. The first option we looked at was leasing space, and they dug in really deep into that. And the second option was city-owned space. And how can we reconnoiter space that we already own to accommodate the courts? And that was that was as expensive as leasing space long term. And then the third option, after those two proved to be really tough to do and really expensive, was contracting with the Thurston County to do court services, which they do for the majority of communities in Thurston County. I think it's us and Yelm maybe who still have municipal courts. So and I think what she really wanted to let folks know was that cost and long-term viability and success of the choices was one of the key drivers of these choices, as well as our commitment to our work around reimagining public safety. That was super important.
Exactly. So just a little bit by the numbers, replacing our current facility could cost up to $94 million. A transition to the county could cost about $742,000 up front, and ongoing costs would stay pretty close to the $2.5 million municipal court budget.
That we pay, we spend every year anyway.
Yeah, and we know that, there will be city employees affected, and there was a commitment to make sure that that's done in coordination. Any transition is done in coordination with staff and unions, and making sure that, we're negotiating with concerns of the community in mind as well.
Right, and our values around justice and and it was a long conversation. We had two recesses.
Yes.
We had 2 5-minute recesses in the middle and at the end to kind of reset and reconnect with folks, and because it was pretty emotional. Council had a lot of questions.
Yes.
And they did make some requests to explore some things on a parallel time frame.
Yeah, so they asked that one of the options that was on the table for city-owned property was the use of this council chambers for the court potentially. So they asked to continue looking at that as an option while we're exploring other options, and then also asking us to check in with the county about their municipal court. And because a few years ago there was an item potentially that was going to be on the ballot about building a new one.
Yes.
So just checking in and see where they're at with that process.
Right, absolutely. So the resolution passed unanimously. And so now that has happened, the formal conversations with the county will begin. And any agreement that comes out of those conversations will come back to council sometime this summer.
Yes. And then we moved on to item 6B, which was a briefing on budget sustainability efforts and really a briefing on the kickoff for what will be the 2026 budget process. So the city manager just gave a bit of a recap on the work that was done to balance the 2025 budget, which was really difficult.
Yes.
Which resulted in
it was a hard one.
It was a really hard one.
Emotional and.
Yeah, it resulted in
folks too.
it resulted in a loss of 25 FTEs, which is positions.
Right.
So it was a really difficult one. So he reviewed some of the budget development topics that have been discussed at the Finance Committee, and then talked a little bit about the timelines and gave a review of the overall 2026 budget calendar. So on May 13th. There will be a study session that I think will be really the kickoff to budget for a really deep conversation about priority-based budgeting and what budgeting looks like for this year. So I would say stay tuned for that May 13th discussion because it'll be really in-depth and really start that process.
Right, and we've been really deep into priority-based budgeting at a staff level. Might have not quite missed a couple of deadlines, but we're
getting there.
We're getting there. That's an interesting journey.
Yeah, it's a really whole new process for us.
It is, and a new way for the community to see our budget as well.
Yeah.
So. And then we went into reports, and the mayor particularly has been super busy. He met with the organizers of Lake Fair. And had a conversation about them receiving money from the city's LTAC funds. He met with the Thurston County NAACP regarding a reparations report I think you've been working on.
Yes.
With a consultant. And that conversation is also going to be on the agenda for that May 13th study session. So that's going to be a really interesting.
It's also hitting the Social Justice and Equity Commission meeting on Monday. So if you want a sneak preview, you can participate in that meeting.
There you go. And then he also met with PFLAG. To talk about the city's sanctuary city position that also covers LGBTQ2S plus. I got it. BTQA2S plus community. So that and then he talked about the recent meeting with the three cities, which is a recurring meeting with all the mayors and city managers in the region, and talked a little bit about the next year hosting the World Cup activities in 2026. I thought it was this summer because I saw something, but I obviously it's wrong. Yeah. And then he asked the council to give him any names for upcoming salary commission. He's taking nominations with the deadline of Friday for that. And also in reports, Mayor Pro Tem did a really moving tribute to a longtime resident, Toy Kay, who recently passed away at the age of 100. She created the Olympia Area Chinese Association, and she's the author of a biography, An American Picture Bride, that tells the story of her coming to Olympia at age 16 in an arranged marriage, where she came to work at Kay Cafe, which in downtown Olympia, owned by the Kay family, and she worked there for 33 years, and how she grew to become this community activist and really cool person. 100 years.
Yeah.
All right. And so it was a really loving tribute to her.
Yes.
And our condolences to her family.
Yeah.
And then the city manager reminded everybody that Arts Walk is happening
One of the best times of year in Olympia.
this weekend.
Yeah.
There he was standing by a big green frog in the picture.
Yes, he toured the procession of the species work that's being done at the Armory. So really, really neat.
Right. So I think the luminary and the procession are all happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fun. All right.
Yeah, and then after that, we council adjourned for the executive session a little after 9:20ish, I will say.
9:27.
Yes.
Because I was paying attention to that time.
And they were meeting for up to 60 minutes. And that was that. So.
All right. Perfect. All right. So it was a long meeting. I rolled into home sometime after 10 and didn't fall asleep. Let's just call it that. So I'm a little tired today. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. If you're watching us live, you can stay tuned for the full replay of the really long emotional meeting we just talked about. But it might be a good thing to dip into and see the details of. Or you can watch it or anything else that we produce in our programming on demand anytime on OliTV3.com. And of course, download the app like I tell you all the time because it is really, really good. So
If you want to watch a council meeting live and in person, if you want to watch a council meeting live and in person, we're here most Tuesdays at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
we'll save a seat for you.
And with that,
We're adjourned.
sorry. It wasn't perfect. It was
No.
the worst.